First game of the Big Ten tournament this year is the least exciting game of the very first round of this tournament for me. Northwestern versus Minnesota. I still can't believe that Minnesota is in this field. Can you?
Okay, you're telling me that first day of the Big Ten tournament, Nick Martinelli and Dawson Garcia doesn't get you out of bed? I don't know what to do. Who are you
I'm
anymore?
gonna watch this in bed, to
Who
be
are you?
honest. Yeah. No, I'm gonna watch it in bed. Look, I okay, fine. I'll play it up. This is exciting, but I'm happy this is like no, I'm not. I wish this was the late game. I wish they stowed this away at like the 11 p.m. tip and we could all go to bed and just check the scores at when we wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it definitely screams that type of game, especially because like in these first round games in the Big Ten tournament, sometimes you get teams that are like, oh, they could make a run, or oh, they need a win or two to find themselves on the bubble or to make the tournament. These teams are so far away from anything. It's kind of somewhat an irrelevant game in the grand scheme of things. Now, I'm not sure if these teams are playing for like that crown title or something, whatever's going on in Vegas, but these are two teams that are so far out of the NCAA picture. Even if Seth Davis got his way with expansion, they wouldn't be on the bubble.
Respectfully to Minnesota, who I think had decent stretches this season. Obviously, they beat Michigan in that one game before Michigan fell apart. I think they beat UCLA and Oregon too. Like they had good moments. They got no juice for me. I'm sorry. Like Dawson Garcia is a very good player. They got some good guards. This is just not a team that I believe in. This is not a team I think is like motivated per se to come in and make this crazy run. Maybe the only angle for Minnesota that intrigues me here is that Ben Johnson may feel like he's coaching for his job. That may be a legitimate thing. And maybe a couple wins in the Big Ten tournament might inspire some confidence to keep it. I have heard there's at least speculation behind the scenes that Minnesota could come open at some point. So I don't know. I think these players do clearly like play for Ben Johnson. It's not like effort has been an issue when I've watched Minnesota this year. So maybe you get an inspired performance in that sense. But yeah, I truly can't believe they're in this tournament card. They lost four of their final five games of the regular season, three of those four at home. Like you lose at home to Penn State, the worst team in the league. You lose at home to this Northwestern team by 12, and then you lose at home to Wisconsin. You had three opportunities to get right. I just can't really believe Nebraska fumbled this. This should be Bryce Williams versus Nick Martinelli, and that would be extremely exciting to all of us. And instead, it's like this sleepwalky Minnesota team that I don't know if they care or not.
Yeah, we were kind of robbed of it. And, even if you want to take the angle of like, Northwestern, the one thing I will say about them as a team, I think they're not looking forward to next year, but they do have pieces on this team that could use like experience and maybe like a Big Ten tournament win or something like that to build upon next year. They can get Martinelli back. I like KJ Wyndham. I talk a lot about how I think their recruiting class is really underrated coming the next season. Um, but in the grand scheme of just this game, I mean, Northwestern. Actually, don't let me say that. I'll ask you this: is there a clear-cut, definitively better team in this game?
Yes,
And it's Northwestern.
correct.
Okay, I didn't know if we were gonna go there or not.
Yeah, Northwestern's top 50 on Ken Palm now. They've actually had a really strong finish to the end of the season after losing Brooks Barnheiser, which is wildly impressive to me. I think Chris Collins has done a remarkable job, and he doesn't really get any credit for that, but they've taken care of business against teams that they should beat, and Minnesota is definitively a team that they should beat. I think you can question Northwestern's upside, but even if you're trying to do that, like this team beat Maryland, beat Illinois this year, so I think they have the stuff to pick off a really good team in this tournament. They do have to handle business against Minnesota, but yeah, you know where I'm going with this. Northwestern just went into the barn and beat them by 12 when Minnesota like hadn't fallen apart yet a couple weeks ago. I fully expect that they're going to do the same here. Martinelli was dominant in that game. He had 29 points on 18 shots or excuse me, on 20 shots, five rebounds to go with them. He's a true stud to me. We're going to see where the Big Ten teams come out today, but Martinelli should be a first teamer pretty clearly in my mind. And I think their depth has improved, which sounds crazy. You lose Jalen Leach and you lose Brooks Barnheiser. You should be very short on depth. But I kind of think the other thing has happened because Collins has had to turn to his bench in a way he didn't in the beginning of the season. And there's a lot of young guys that you mentioned flying around giving them good minutes right now. KJ Wyndham being one of them. Jordan Clayton, I liked what I've seen from him as a role player type. Even Vino, who was kind of made fun of in the Braden Smith Purdue game, he's given them good minutes at times.
Kinda.
So completely made fun of.
I mean, you led the charge, G.
Well, I'm sorry. I just crack up at that guy. He reminds me of Amadeo de la Valle from Ohio State years ago.
Yeah, so he seems like he's a player who's like a Big Ten plant. Like Wisconsin has one of those guys too. I don't know what his name is, but you know who I'm talking about. He's like Vanicki. That's what I'm talking about.
John Janicki.
Is that his name, Janicki?
It's not Vanicki, Janicki.
Yeah, there's a Janicki and a Saravino on like every team.
That's honestly, we should have like an all Big Ten wine list team, and it's just players whose names sound like wines. Like I'll
All
have the Janicki today.
welcome to the first round preview of the Big Ten tournament, the very first game. It
Can
doesn't
I
get
please get a glass of the Cheravino today?
actually, I'm. You know what? I don't think I'm gonna go with the seafood. I'll take a just a Vanicki, please. Thank
I'll take a double Brennan Rigsby on the rocks with a Parker Fox on the side. This Minnesota team, speaking of Parker Fox, that's my guy. This might
you.
be
All
the
right.
last chance I get to say it. I'm gonna say it. Parker Fox, that's my guy. I'll stand with him, Cart. Guys that we don't want to see leave college basketball. Parker Fox is one of them for me. One of my favorite role-playing bad bigs in college basketball history.
Can I get a list of some of your other role playing bad bigs that you love?
Ooh, I actually was a pretty big Jordan Morgan guy, but Jordan
That's
Morgan
yeah.
wasn't necessarily bad. But that anytime I think like role player limited big, I'm like Jordan Morgan was my favorite. Parker Fox has some Jordan Morgan in him.
I hate this a lot.
You don't like this timeline?
No, I don't like this whatsoever.
How shocked would you be if Minnesota wins this game?
I think less shocked than you think, only because I think Minnesota has shown the ability to knock off better teams this season. I think Northwestern has done the same. Don't get me wrong. I don't know what to make of this Minnesota team. They have been getting a little bit more from other guys as of late. Like Brennan Rigsby has actually been a pretty solid player as of late. They have the freshman off the bench. I think it's Asuma, I believe his last name is. So they do have some. They got some guys ish, but I just think Northwestern is the better coach team. I think they are the better team. Um, they're top 50, like you said. Minnesota's pretty bad offensively and pretty singular, and Northwestern's actually pretty good defensively, top 50 in defense on Ken Palm. So I don't know. I think I side with Northwestern in this game, but I don't think a Minnesota win is completely out of the cards.
Okay, I think the doing my thing where I talk myself into what I don't believe is going to happen. This is how I see it. Minnesota's older, they're more experienced. Presumably, they have a lot of guys that have at least like played in this tournament and or played with a season on the line type game more than Northwestern has. Northwestern's really young since the Barnhizer Leach injuries. Like they have really turned to a lot of guys that have just been in warmups in games like this and or have never played past high school before. So even if I like them, even if I like the way they've played, even if I believe Collins is the better coach, Martinelli's the best player on the floor, I could see those young guys just getting a little spooked by like, oh shit, this is the postseason. And then Minnesota, I don't know, plays with a sense of desperation, both from a Ben Johnson's job is on the line standpoint and also like a Dawson Garcia, Parker Fox, this is my final game in a uniform standpoint. So I don't know. That scares me a little. It probably makes it a no touch for me from a betting perspective, but I do think Northwestern's pretty clearly the better team.
There is something to be said about this game being the difference between you and the workforce.
What does that mean?
Like,
Oh, you mean the
like,
players?
yeah, like Parker Fox needs this game.
I thought you meant me specifically, and I was like, what outcome in this game is going to make me rejoin the
Oh
workforce?
no. I mean, you do got a little Parker Fox in you, but I'm more so talking about they don't want to refresh their LinkedIn profiles just yet.
Like you're telling me if Mike Mitchell goes nuclear, goes for 30 and a win, I gotta go to Indeed and get back on the job boards.
I hope not.
I hope not too, man, but now I'm scared. The only other thing I would note in the first meeting, it was a fluky shooting game. Michigan State fans, cover your ears. I know you don't like to believe that happens sometimes. Northwestern shot 50% from three. Minnesota shot 26% from three. Northwestern wins by 12. So if there was more evened out shooting, then I think that's probably a tie game. There's probably not the gap that I'm insinuating there is necessarily here. I'm talking myself into Minnesota the more we talk on this. Can we just get to predictions so I don't do something stupid?
Please.
Okay. Ken Palm has Northwestern as a 5 point favorite in Indianapolis over the Fighting Ben Johnsons. What do you think is going to happen?
You said five. You said five.
5 points.
5 points. I mean, do I want to get greedy and want that at like 3.5, 4? Of course I do, but I'll take Northwestern with the spread on that one. I got Northwestern. I'm gonna say 71 to 60, 61.
Okay. Okay. I think the karma gods are going to punish this conference. We left three teams out of the conference tournament for the first time ever, and we think we're just going to get away with that.
Yeah. Also, can I make a quick statement on that as we're going to be doing all these previews and recaps?
Yes.
Everyone should make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. It's
Yeah, everyone
horrible.
should make it.
I hate that Bryce Williams is sitting at home. This is
I thought that I was gonna like this. Then when I actually got to it, like, oh, look at this. The repercussions of my actions. I don't like this.
Yeah, just throw two extra games on Tuesday, sell tickets, sell concessions, everyone wins. Why is Bryce Williams not playing here? I think this is ridiculous.
Right.
But with that said, the karma gods are going to punish this league and specifically punish us. I have Northwestern 44 to 41 game.
That's insane,
This
man.
is going to be the ugliest game in Big Ten basketball history, and it's going to set the tone for a horrible week of conference tournament play.
So Minnesota cover though.
Minnesota cover, Northwestern win.